Some of my biggest breakthroughs in business have not come from thinking things out on my own or, just trying to come up with stuff by myself. It's actually come from asking people who are doing much better than me, people making millions of dollars every single year, and they're worth millions of dollars. And there's a few things that consistently come up time and time again that I've managed to put together and I've been able to put into my business, and I'm slowly starting to incorporate them in my life. And if you do these things that I'm going to talk about in this video today, then I think that's going to set you on a much better path to that success. So if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Ben Lister. I help agency owners with my YouTube channel by documenting my learnings that have helped me to make multi-six figures per year. So the first thing I want to talk about is the power of saying no. Now, this is something that a lot of people won't need to do too early on, especially if you're just making, a couple $1,000s per month, if you don't have too many invitations, too much exciting things going on. But once you are making, $10,000 a month or more, there'll be opportunities coming left, right, center. You might get invited to go on a podcast, you might get invited out to dinner with other entrepreneurs or people who are exciting or people with big followings and all that kind of stuff. And the more and more success you get, the further and further down the line you go, the more that you have to say no to certain things. And this is really powerful, and it's something that I'm having to start to learn now quite a lot, is that once you get to a certain point, there will be many more distractions that are trying to pull you away from what actually matters, which is focusing on the business. And a lot of times when I speak to these millionaires, people who are super successful, the things that they are being distracted away from is the main basics still. It is just booking calls and converting those calls into sales. And it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but it's actually easier to say yes to a lot of things, even if it does take your time or, it is a distraction, because a lot of times there can be sort of social pressures or different things that are going on that make it much, much easier for you to actually say yes rather than saying no. And it's something that's a real power, it's a real skill, being able to say no to different things and understanding what it is a distraction and what is actually going to help you on your path. Being able to figure those things out so you can actually say yes or no to different things, it's such a skill, and once you have that down, it's going to help you to make so much more money as you go further on in your business career. The next big learning is something that a lot of people know, but I think a lot of people don't actually implement because they don't fully believe it yet. But it's the fact that time is worth more than money. Now, this is something that a lot of people know, and it's something that, you might think, yeah, that's super obvious. But once you actually understand that time has a value and that everyone's time is different, you can start to realize what your time is worth, and then you can start to outsource for different things. So let's say, for example, that my time is worth $100 per hour. If there's a task that needs doing, like a personal task or, just any sort of task at all, like let's say, for example, if I need to cook meals every single night, right? This is going to take me maybe 45 minutes to cook a meal and to eat the meal, let's say 30 minutes just for cooking. So my time is worth $100 per hour, right? So if I can pay someone less than $50 to cook me a meal, then I should probably do that. Either this is with a meal delivery service or, a private chef or whatever it may be. If you have certain tasks that are going on where, let's say, for example, it takes you an hour to get to a certain place, but if you take a taxi, it'll take you 30 minutes, right? If that taxi is worth, $50 and it's going to save you 30 minutes, then if you work it out on your cost per hour, you should definitely do that, right? And there's a lot of people who can justify, people that are worth lots of money who can justify private jets and things like that simply because it saves them time waiting in an airport, going through the departures and the security and all that kind of stuff, because they can just simply jump onto a private jet and they can save themselves 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And even though the private jet might be worth $15,000, if their time is worth $10,000, then that is a kind of no-brainer at that point. They're saving hours in their business day just by spending a little bit extra money, and this return on investment that they're getting with their time is something that a lot of people don't actually think about. And I know a lot of people watching this can't afford private jets, so they don't make that kind of money, but if you start on a smaller scale, like I said, with cooking, with cleaning, with whatever it may be, all these different tasks, or this, it could be anything, or this even could be outsourcing different things inside of your business. Like if you do a certain task and you can pay someone, $4, $5 an hour to do it, then you should definitely do it if your time is worth more than that, and it probably is. And the next learning that I've learned from these guys who make lots and lots of money is the fact that they have no or a very low ego. They can very quickly admit when they're wrong, or when they've said something that isn't actually correct, or when they've believed something and it's turned out that it isn't actually correct, and they can basically go back and change their beliefs and say, okay, I was wrong on this, let's go ahead with the option that you suggested. And the thing that's so great about this is that they are not looking to be the best, they're not looking to be right, because it doesn't actually pay to be right. It just pays to do the right thing. And so if you are wrong and you're going down the wrong path and you realize that and you correct and you start going down the right path, That's going to save you so much money, so much time, so much effort, and being able to do that and not have your ego get in the way of this is such a huge skill. There's many people out there who don't make much money, who would sort of die by their shield, that, you know, that this belief that they have, this thing that they've said is absolute gospel and nothing could be truer, basically. And if you start to realize that you're not going to be correct all the time, there's going to be things that you get wrong, there's going to be things that you're doing that are not quite correct. If you can start to adjust that and if you can start to change that, then what's going to happen here is you're always going to be going on the right path. Every time you're reviewing what you said, you're reviewing what you've done, if you're not actually letting your ego get in the way of things, if you're admitting when you're wrong, it's going to mean that you're making much better decisions and you're going to make a lot more money. And another lesson that I've learned is that it really takes confidence to take a day off. This is something that I learned about in different sports. Different athletes talk about this, that if they are training to a certain point, like let's say they're a fighter, for example, and they have a camp coming up, if they take a day off to rest when they know they've had a heavy day or they need that rest, they are basically being confident in themselves that they have the skills and they have the ability to take that day off, to take that rest where they need it, and they're not going to basically learn as much or get enough preparation in there, but they're confident enough to do that because the rest and recovery is so important. And this applies to business as well. I'm sure you've heard there's many different business owners that say they work 7 days a week. I know that Gary Vee was famously saying that he literally doesn't stop working and he prides himself on that. But in actual fact, there's a lot of the guys who are making a lot of money right now and people who are just coming out of nowhere and going from, you know, 0 to 7 figures super quickly, is they have an understanding that 1 day a week or half a day a week or whatever it is, a specific time that they have time off, if you plan that in and you actually make sure that you stick to it, it's actually going to be really worthwhile doing. You're going to be much more productive if you do that, simply because if you just go all out 7 days a week, you're just constantly working, you have, you know, 10, 12-hour day, whatever it is, when you work every single day, the benefits of that are slowly going to start to wane, and eventually you're going to make poor quality decisions. You're not going to have the rest and recovery to actually, you know, put enough effort into those days. And by scheduling in a day, you are actually telling everyone, you know, hey, I don't work this day I'm not contactable. And once you know that that day is in there, what you can start to do is basically plan your week around that day. Okay, so if you have tasks that are coming up by the end of this week, you know that, oh, I'm working on Sunday, I can just do it on Sunday. If you have the Sunday off, you know, okay, it needs to be done by this specific day because I have this day off. And if you make plans for these days as well, if you spend time with family, spend time with loved ones, or, you know, you schedule an exercise or anything like that, whatever it is that's just away from the business, these things are going to help you so much more than just sitting at your computer all day, because they are so much more replenishing activities and they are things that are going to give you more motivation, more energy to actually go and do stuff. And this is something that I see time and time again with people that make a lot of money. By the way, if you are looking to sign more clients, click the first link in the description. We're not looking for your phone number, your email. We're not going to spam your phone, which is literally just a video of me explaining how my company does this. But yeah, if you want to check it out, then you can. If you don't, of course, that's no problem. But if you did enjoy the video, then go ahead and click the like button, comment if you want me to cover any topic specifically, and subscribe if you want to see more. I appreciate you watching this one to the end. Cheers.